AI is not just at our doorstep, it's already read your mind and decided what you will watch next. There's just one person you can trust to help you break out of that illusion of choice. Tom Cruise? No, this is Sudhish Kamath on FOMO Fix, the only thing you can trust to help you break out of the algo matrix. As promised last week, this week we are hype checking Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, that's out in India 1 week before it's out in the US. On TV Gold, I recommend Guy Ritchie produced gangster drama Mobland that's racing towards a bloody finale with just 2 episodes to go. I also have the heads up on the season finale of Seth Rogen's The Studio that celebrates the madness behind the movies, and take a look at the Netflix Danish thriller Secrets We Keep for fans of adolescence. Plus a true crime Tamil thriller Fire that has an interesting premise but also lots of cringe. So, action! While the world has moved on from green screen action to AI, Tom Cruise at 62 still chooses to jump out of planes, trains and assorted automobiles, all to get that one shot that makes it worth your while at the cinemas. The last of the Mission Impossible movies, The Final Reckoning, released in India a whole week before the world, and even at IMAX tickets selling for over 600, we lapped it up for the love of Tom. So is it worth the hype? Join me in today's Mission Impossible special on Hype Check. My week began with a message that self-destructed in 5 seconds. Your mission, should you choose to accept, is to watch all Mission Impossible movies in one go. 15 hours, all to prep for the last one. So here's your recap. Mission Impossible 1996, based on a 1966 TV show created by Bruce Geller, became the Tom Cruise franchise about 30 years ago when Brian De Palma made the first one as a smart, brooding, dark, cerebral thriller. It was high on stunts, but not the spectacle it has now become. It was also a film that many found esoteric. It was also the first time we met Luther, played by Ving Rhames, one of the few regular members of the Impossible Mission Force, IMF, along with Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise. And thus, a template was created. Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, accepts an impossible mission to recover a MacGuffin to save the world. To do this, he needs his team to break into a highly secure facility that can only be accessed by impossible means. The fallout ultimately leads him to a choice where he needs to trade it back for the life of someone close to him. He gets disavowed, he goes rogue and refuses to make a choice to save someone he loves or let millions die. Hunt always chooses to do both because he's the best of men in the worst of times, as Luther describes him in the new movie. John Woo, who directed Mission Impossible 2 in the year 2000, gave the franchise the action movie flourish it is associated with today. Slow motion shots, high on emotion, so much that every Hindi heist film made ever since has paid homage to it. Hunt saved the world from a deadly virus 20 years before we knew the damage it could do. Think MI2 and the Limp Bizkit version of the theme will find its way to your ears before I can finish the sentence. It was with MI3 in 2006 that the franchise got the reinvention it needed for the times from director J.J. Abrams, the creator of Lost. Abrams gave the franchise one of its strongest villains in Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was a real threat to Hunt. It was also when Benji, played by Simon Pegg, joined the franchise as a regular member of the IMF. Abrams then brought in Brad Bird for MI4 in 2011 to lend humor to the franchise. But the pivot to the humor got in the way of the high-stakes storytelling, as Oscar winner Christopher McQuarrie was brought in to doctor the script. McQuarrie took all the elements of the first 4 movies and helped define the DNA of the franchise. Intrigue, high-octane action set pieces, strong villains, drama and comedy. With this formula, McQuarrie made 2 absolutely wonderful, near-perfect movies: Rogue Nation 2015 and Fallout 2018. As the scale became bigger, the franchise reeled in Jeremy Renner to join the IMF. Fun fact, upon learning that he's going to be killed off in 6, Jeremy Renner declined to return. The last 2 films, also written and directed by McQuarrie, were originally titled Dead Reckoning Part 1 and 2. Though not quite as smart as the 4th and the 5th installments, Dead Reckoning 2023 made up with scale and spectacle, with the daredevil stunt of the franchise, the one where Tom rides a dirt bike off a cliff and skydives parachuting himself onto a speeding train. Which brings us to The Final Reckoning 2025, a film that tries so hard to tie up loose ends and threads from the franchise with mixed results. Some are fun, some are contrived, and some completely unnecessary. To ensure you needn't have watched the other 7 films, this one uses recaps, inserts, and spoon feeds information to the point that would have made Brian De Palma squirm in his seat. The franchise has come a full circle from assuming that the audience is very intelligent to assuming that it is very dumb. But the joys remain, and The Final Reckoning plays out like the greatest hits of the Mission Impossible franchise. So where does it fit in? Are you ready for all the Mission Impossible films to be ranked? Okay, my best to okay, because there are no bad Mission Impossible films. Right on top is the OG Mission Impossible film, because cerebral is a good thing. At number 2, I have Mission Impossible 6, Fallout, which is the most fun MI film with the perfect balance of all elements. My third favorite is Mission Impossible 5, which is pretty much as good as number 6. At number 4, I have Mission Impossible 3, directed by J.J. Abrams, which was so real that Hunt almost caught a bullet. At number 5, I have Mission Impossible 7, Dead Reckoning, that featured the AI, The Entity, which honestly sounds more like the opening act of a Vegas strip club. At number 6, I have Mission Impossible 8, The Final Reckoning, a not so perfect send-off but high on thrills. At number 7, I have Mission Impossible 4, Ghost Protocol, which was a lot of fun till the India segment and that parking lot climax. Finally, my least favorite Mission Impossible film, mind you, this is not bad because there are no bad Mission Impossible films, but my least favorite is John Woo's MI2, which is the most Bollywood of MI films. So is The Final Reckoning worth a watch on the big screen? If you're a Tom Cruise fan, well wait, who isn't? Of course yes. You can trust Tom Cruise to entertain you one last time. Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren in a Guy Ritchie produced show? I was sold. Now, I had sampled the first few episodes and given you guys a heads up in one of the early episodes of FOMO Fix. But I just caught up with it last week since I'm not a fan of waiting a whole week for shows that are 100% binge-worthy. Tom Hardy plays a fixer for a gangster family called the Harrigans, headed by Pierce Brosnan in Mobland, created by Ronan Bennett. The grandson is a reckless idiot, and most of Tom Hardy's job in the show is crisis management, as one incident leads to a series of shootouts, bomb blasts, kidnappings, and all forms of extreme violence. Unlike the other amoral gangster show Gangs of London, this one actually has characters that you can root for. The stakes keep escalating and the pace is so relentless that you just can't wait a whole week for the next episode to drop. But hey, 8 episodes are out already. The first 2 are directed by Guy Ritchie, who's also a producer on the show. And there are just 2 more to go. So it's the perfect time to start and catch up before the finale airs next week. It's out on JioStar. Speaking of finales, Seth Rogen's The Studio just aired its finale this week and it saved the best episodes for the last. The last 2 actually make that 3. In fact, all of them are really fun. What makes the show unique and a lot more fun than Entourage is not just the cameos, but how the cameos are used. This is a show that loves the movie so much that it raises the bar and the scale for comedy shows with cinematic storytelling and long takes in the tradition of Birdman. For one of the episodes, the show recreates the Golden Globes. This is a classic example of how you can take a gag too far and prove that with conviction, even the silliest joke played by humor through repetition can bring the house down. Of course, there's no Rogen show without characters tripping on drugs, and the last 2 episodes set in the background of CinemaCon are an absolute riot. I'm so glad the show's been renewed for a season 2. More power to Seth Rogen, more power to Evan Goldberg, more power to Apple TV+. I wasn't keen to watch a Danish thriller for FOMO Fix because, like I told my friends who recommended it, nobody has FOMO about a foreign show. But I was wrong. When I watched it, I knew it's a show I had to talk to you about because Secrets We Keep is a murder mystery where an au pair or house help goes missing and is presumed dead, and we know one of the 2 households is responsible. The show peels through layers of privilege and morality and parenting to shocking effects that it instantly reminded me of the much acclaimed Adolescence. So if you loved Adolescence, don't miss Secrets We Keep, also on Netflix. It's a disturbing watch, but an essential one. When a Tamil true crime thriller called Fire dropped on IMDb with a rating of 9.6 on 10 from 10,000 reviews, I was intrigued. I even took a screenshot of that IMDb rating to send to my friends and ask them if they had seen it. By the time I finished what turned out to be a cringe fest, I went back to IMDb to see if it was really 9.6, but now within hours it was 5.2 on 10. Someone actually tried to rig IMDb ratings for this movie. While the true crime story is truly sensational and would have made for a great Netflix documentary, this Tamil adaptation of it by producer, director, actor JSK as the cop and the killer is led down by male gaze, outdated notions of patriarchy, where a woman's dignity is linked to her sex life, and sex tapes where suicide is shown as the norm, and the messaging underlines how women need to protect themselves by knowing what is right and what is wrong. If it's not clear, sex is wrong. If your sex tape comes out, you must die, according to JSK Uncle. Now there's just one token liberal independent woman who asks her blackmailer to buzz off. I'm still waiting for the day where that kind of a spunky, independent, modern woman is the lead of a Tamil film. That's all I have for you on This Week on FOMO Fix. Until next time, this is Sudhish Kamath signing off from my home studio for The Hindu. Goodbye.